Hi everyone, it's Becky here. So it's a very rare bright sunny day in the middle of the rain season in Vancouver. So I'm taking the bus crossing the Fraser River and then the SkyTrain to East Vancouver. Here at Commercial Drive Station, I'm taking another bus to this quiet neighborhood in East Vancouver. And there are some charming murals in this community of Mount Pleasant. And here around the street corner is the Elysian Coffee. Yeah, it looks very nice from the outside with big windows. So here I'm going in. It's my first time here. And the ambience inside and outside the cafe is really nice. So I ordered a breakfast sandwich and a cup of pumpkin spice latte and got this lovely view outside the window in front of me. So I just drew my breakfast sandwich and I forgot to press record on my phone. Anyway, I'm gonna continue to draw my cup of pumpkin spice latte, starting with the opening, the body, and the handle, the brim of the cup, and the little saucer, and adding the brim for the saucer, and then using pretty rapid speed and gentle hand pressure to draw the latte art in the middle. And then using these loose curves to show the shine on the ceramic surface. That's it for the drawing part. Now I'm ready to paint watercolors, just wetting these areas with clear water and starting with the lightest tone always, which is usually yellow. So this is slightly diluted yellow ochre mixed with lemon yellow for the sandwich bun and the egg area. And now I just mixed a little bit orange into yellow ochre for the first layer of the pumpkin spice latte, looking a bit of orange yellow. And then I'm mixing orange with burnt sienna to get a light orange brown, and then a slightly darker orange brown with a higher ratio of burnt sienna to shade the sandwich bun. Pretty much just pure burnt sienna, blending into the previous two colors. So everything in the world, it always contains more than one color definition, including pastries and bread and coffee. And using some leftover orange brown, a little bit diluted, to paint the shade area of the egg. And same for the bottom bun, just playing with orange and burnt sienna, as well as water control, more or less water. So the brown areas on breads, they are those parts that got more heat in the oven. The yellowish areas are the areas that received less heat in the oven, and using choppy brush marks to show the loose, flaky texture. And grabbing some leftover orange brown to paint this sauce floating on top of everything. Grabbing some lime green and viridian green to paint the spinach leaves. A little bit stronger green on top of the lighter tone of green. So it's glowing a little bit. And mixing pink and violet together to paint the little pickled onion. Grabbing some leftover burnt sienna to paint the grill marks on the egg. Leftover brownish gray to shade the egg patty on the right. And then using these brown dots to depict the flaky texture of the bread. And shade the bun a little bit more on the right side. The left side is facing the window, the daylight. Now, I'm mixing a color based on my seeing and intuition of the pumpkin spice latte, which is a mix of orange, permanent violet, and burnt sienna to paint this ring area of the latte surface. The middle part for latte and cappuccino is usually the brightest color value. So don't overpaint too much into the middle yellowish area. Okay, now I'm ready to paint the cup and saucer, which is a dark indigo color. And I mixed cobalt blue and permanent violet together. and leaving some paper white streaks to show the glaring shine of the ceramic surfaces on both the cup and the saucer. And I'm going to continue to use this same color diluted with a lot of water to shade the white plate holding the breakfast sandwich. So if you dilute a blue-violet color with a lot of water, you get a very lively gray. For the napkin brown, it's the mix of yellow ochre and raw umber diluted with quite a bit of water. Now, I want to shade the cup and saucer even further and to create a higher sense of contrast. This is still the same color recipe, the mix of cobalt blue and permanent violet, switching to my smaller Faber-Castell brand water brush, so the brush is less watery. So yeah, a lot of pure paint pigment, way less water compared to before, so to show that this is a very solid ceramic surface. At the same time, leaving some parts from the previous layer unpainted for a bit of value transition. And I'm going to grab the leftover blue, dilute it a little bit to shade the brim of the cup. And then moving on to the last stage is to add shadows. Painting the shadow using leftover bluish gray on my palette. And then the bamboo stick there. Shadows for the saucer and the plate using the leftover blue-violet in diluted versions. And I go over the shadow area, the edge closer to the object, with a stronger tone of blue-violet. So the shadow looks stronger with gradient. Doing some final polish, and that's it. Okay, so I created like a 5-minute pencil draft just so I can include everything that I want to include in this urban scenery outside the window. Okay, so now let me show you my conceptual seeing of the perspective in this urban landscape. So immediately I see a vanishing point somewhere over here, okay? And many of these lines of the curbs are going into it. My eye level is, I believe it's somewhere over here. This is my eye level. Our eye level is always a straight horizontal line. And all of these horizontal lines below our eye level, they're all going up into the vanishing point, including these two curb lines. Okay? Now, above our eye level, the roof of the building is going down into the vanishing point. Same for these horizontal lines of the windows, top and bottom. They're all going down into the vanishing point. And here's the idea. And below the eye level, the bottom of the building is going slightly upwards into the vanishing point. And it's the same idea for these treetops. So these cherry trees on the other side of the street, they're about the same height. The very top of their canopies, they're aligning on this slanting horizontal line going into the vanishing point. So that's why these trees in the far distance, they look shorter and shorter compared to this one in the front. Okay, so based on the rule of 1-point perspective, all of these buildings on the left side, the horizontal lines above my eye level, they're all going down to the right, including the top and bottom lines of these windows. And then drawing the traffic sign and the stop sign, which is part of this urban landscape's identity. Yeah, these vertical lines are very easy. They're just going absolutely vertical. Okay, so that's very much it for the first building. Now, second building, I can see two sides of it. It's like a gigantic rectangular prism. And this line is going down to the left, or going upwards to this corner. This line is following the 1-point perspective. It's going down to the right. Okay, so here, as you can see, is the two sides of this building that I can see of the rectangular prism. Now, other details here on top of the roof is easy, just a bunch of pipes. These are all going down to the left, following the baseline. Okay, so now I think I want to add more ground details, like the signs, the fences, and plant the trees. So now I'm actually building up the major branches of this cherry tree here. Yeah, pretty close to me. The curb and the front of a car. So the curb line is going upwards into the vanishing point to the right. Okay, so now I'm going to get a little bit more looser to get these smaller branches and twigs in to form the canopy of the cherry tree. And then doodle some of these dangling leaves left over on the tree's canopy. And yeah, it takes some time and patience to get these leaves in, but it's very satisfying to fill in the blank spaces on the tree. And I want to color in all of these major branches and the trunk with solid brown ink. So the tree is standing out nice and strong in front of the buildings. Now I'm drawing the next tree. As you can see, it's looking smaller and shorter compared to the previous one because it's a little bit more far away from us. And then another car close by the curb and another one behind. And more. Yeah, there's like a pretty long chain of parked cars. Okay, so now I'm moving to the right side of the urban landscape by just putting this street lamp on the corner of the curb and the little sign there. Going back to the left side to add some trees, looking shorter and smaller. And now adding this foreground tree, about the same size as the one on this left, and then the name of the street, and more branches behind the lamppost and the sign, smaller branches and twigs spreading out, following what I see. And the next tree, the bottom of the trunk seems higher and higher as they move from left to right. Yeah, and the curb, all of these lines, almost parallel to the curb, they're going upwards to the right. And I'm going to color in all of these trunks and branches with solid brown ink, and they actually look nicer this way as they stand out better from the paper. Okay, and then drawing this corner building, and then adding a couple more cars towards the vanishing point to just get smaller and smaller, and it disappears into the vanishing point. And then I'm ready to come back to this building here. All of these windows above our eye level, they're going down to the right into the vanishing point. Yeah, and it's pretty satisfying to fill the blank. And then drawing the window frames of the ground level that seems to have a high ceiling, doors and display windows, and yeah, adding these nice brick texture for the left side of the building using loose segments. Those lines are pretty much parallel to the roof above. And then using some more loose squiggly lines to draw the cherry tree leaves texture. And yeah, I can't wait to come back again in the spring around March or April to sketch the scenery again of the beautiful cherry blossoms in shades of pink. Right now they're in shades of yellow and orange. And yeah, the leaves are hanging loosely on these branches. And I'm very glad to come to this cafe before all the leaves are gone. Okay, so I think I'm pretty much ready to add some human figures walking on the street. A few more details for these trees, canopies. There's a frame there on the roof there. This one is like a tin soldier attached to the outside of this building here. Window frame. And I'm seeing a lady walking across the street, starting with the shape of her hair, the hood, her left and right arm. So the arms are bent, so we can see just up to the elbow, to the two elbows. So that's her upper body. Now for the lower body, from the hip area, the widths of the legs are starting to shrink to a smaller width towards the bottom of the leg. And then drawing the shoes. Okay, now I want to draw the stitching lines on the winter jacket. All of these are curving lines, wrapping around the shape of the body in a large cylinder and the arms in smaller cylinders. So yeah, and then I want to add another guy walking really swiftly using my short-term memory. And adding a final little bit of details there in the far background area. And then finishing the corner of the street here, showing the thickness of the curb. Now, the final bit, I really want to include something interesting, is a cyclist. So I started drawing the two wheels of the bike, the spikes, and the head wearing the helmet is probably over here, and this guy was wearing a backpack. The legs are bent, and the arms are a bit bent as well, holding onto the bike. And it was pretty challenging but fun to draw the cyclist. And then finishing up the curb behind him. I had to use my short-term memory to finish drawing the cyclist. Now, moving on to drawing something easier is the window frames. Okay, so using very quick horizontal and short vertical lines to draw the brick pattern of this building. And adding some more lines to suggest perspective here on the sidewalk. And the yellow line dividing the two-way traffic. And that's pretty much it. And I'm very happy to see these cherry trees are getting a lot of sunshine. They're illuminated, ready for me to paint. And the sky is opening up with blue. So this time I really want to paint the cherry trees first before painting the sky. So I'm just wetting these canopy areas with clear water. And I'm going to start painting the lightest tone of orange, which is yellow orange. So here I'm mixing cadmium yellow with orange, a very high ratio of cadmium yellow, and also pretty diluted. And then some brush marks could be containing a higher ratio of orange. So if you want the things that you're painting to glow with life, you need to start painting the lightest tone first. Make sure you have a light tone, a medium tone, and a shade tone. Okay, so this is pretty much the first layer, a very bright yellow-orange. Now I'm grabbing some pure orange wet into moist, using the tip of my brush to get these little leaves in. So without the sun's glow, these trees would be looking orange-brown, a very dense color without contrast. Now the contrast is very high when the sun is passing through the canopy. So this is a very ideal condition to paint these trees. And again, I'm very thankful for the sunshine. adding some more little choppy brush marks of orange, merging with the light yellow. So as you can see, I didn't overpaint too much orange. I left some part of the first layer untouched, so the trees are kind of glowing now. Okay, so now I'm grabbing some leftover Viridian green from my palette to paint this bush or shrub wrapping around the trunk of this cherry tree here. Same for this tree as well. It's kind of like climbing ivy wrapping around some tree trunks. Okay, so I'm gonna let the tree canopy area to dry before adding more definitions. So now I'm painting very lightly using a diluted yellow ochre for the first layer of this building. So a white or light gray building could be looking a little yellowish in the sunshine. I'm also going to add a bit more yellow for the street, the sidewalk, and the grass. Again, it's kind of like an underpainting. So on a bright sunny day, everything under the sun, they're glazed by the tone of sunshine, which is a mellow yellow, especially later in the day. And at the same time, the color of the tree's canopies could be also projected onto many of these light gray and white surfaces. For example, this corner building over here, some reflective colors of the cherry tree's canopies. Okay, so now I'm ready to paint the sky before moving on to the next layers for everything below the sky. So I just wetted the sky with clear water. So it's easier to spread out this cerulean blue with a strong sense of fluidity. So the sky is never flat, especially a cloudy day sky. There's a lot of air turbulence going on, and my brush marks are showing the movement of air. So as you can see, I'm painting around this white cloud using slightly diluted cerulean blue. And then painting the sky, I'm also framing the clouds. And I just grab a little bit leftover bluish gray to shade this bottom cloud a little bit. And just adding a little bit of very diluted leftover yellow to give the clouds a glowing look. And now I see the cerulean blue is getting a bit pale as it's drying. So now I'm adding some retouches of more concentrated cerulean blue. And at the same time, the white of the clouds, they look stronger with this stronger blue wrapping around them. Okay, yeah, now that looks lovelier than before. And a bit more for this sky area as well. Okay, so now I'm ready to shade the clouds by mixing cobalt blue and a little bit violet together. Most of the shaded areas of the clouds are usually on the bottom 50%. And I'm starting with a fairly diluted version of blue-violet. And then a more concentrated version of blue-violet for the very bottom edge. Now that cloud up there, it feels like it's heavier and has more volume compared to before it's shaded. I just switched to my Faber-Castell medium tip water brush that's able to do some delicate renderings. So as you can see, I'm mixing a little bit of red-orange with burnt sienna to paint the second layer of these cherry trees using sharper and choppy little dots of brush marks. Okay, so that's very much it. The detailed leaf texture for the first tree there. Now for the second tree, I'm using a slightly diluted orange-brown So these brush marks, they're not as sharp as the first tree because everything in the far distance, they should have a less detailed definition compared to things in the front. Yeah, so these two trees canopies, they look slightly faded out compared to the first one there. Okay, now I'm ready to paint these canopies here on the other side of the street. This one here, I see pretty sharp details of leaves. So yeah, very sharp and intense brush marks of orange brown. Yeah, so now these trees, they look much more dramatic because I used two color values. I started with a very diluted yellow-orange. Now, for the second layer, I'm putting on a much stronger, sharper orange-brown. So now the trees are glowing. So if you want to make your things glowing, you have to use a darker tone on top of a lighter tone. Now, I'm adding some diluted Viridian green for these bushes that I see here and there in very loose forms. And yeah, it's nice to have these cool colors of green surrounding the glowing orange tones. And now I'm adding some more cool colors for the reflective colors on the windows. The windows are mostly reflecting the sky, having a dark blue tone. Okay, so now I'm also going to continue to use this cobalt blue tone to shade these window panels on the ground level for the faraway buildings. Okay, so now I'm going to speed up using the leftover gray in my palette to shade the left side of that building there so it looks more three-dimensional. Again, it's very similar to the gray that I mixed for the clouds, cobalt blue and permanent violet, and painting these shadows on the street as well, leaving some parts of the first layer of yellow ochre for the sunlit area. So now at this stage, I'm going to focus on shading using these cool colors of blue-violet. I think the sun is on the upper right-hand side. So the left side of these buildings are shaded. And I'm also going to paint the first layer for the lawns using yellow-green, the sunlit color. Okay, grabbing some Viridian green and mix it with a bit of burnt sienna to add the shadows of the buildings landing onto these lawn areas, which is really cool. Yeah, it's just much more easier and satisfying to paint on a bright sunny day with the sun's help getting light and shadows into the world. Okay, so now I'm ready to add these little specks of gray shadows, which is the cherry tree's shadow landing on the buildings outside. And spending a bit more time adding more gray tones for the shaded areas on these buildings in a very gentle way. So most of these gray tones, they're pretty diluted with quite a bit of water. And so the grays are not way too harsh on these surfaces. Okay, I'm just painting these people's outfits with vibrant colors, echoing with the warm colors of the trees. Since the sun is on the right, the left side of these people's bodies are shaded. And then the shadow here on the sidewalk is pretty intense. Same for in the middle of the street. Okay, here it is. Here's the look of my finished sketch. Again, it was a 2-hour stay at the cafe, having a really wonderful time. So thank you so much for watching this video, everyone. If you like it, please click like and leave me a comment below. Subscribe to my channel for weekly updates of vlogs and tutorial videos, as well as sketchbook tours coming up. So have a great day, everyone. I will see you around in the next video very soon. Bye.